Welcome back to Rarest Photos. I wanted to feature some of your comments about the legendary Ronnie McDowell and the video that we did the other day. I think it's very important that we kind of revisit what your thoughts are on this, of course, and what the conversation and topics were all about. So thank you to you subscribers, all 62,500 in the last year and a half. You guys are amazing, and I'll keep trying to bring you interviews like this with the legendary Ronnie McDowell, and he'll be back to do another one, I believe. So Carolyn Hargrove, 4748, says, love this interview. Triple heart, made it to the end. I appreciate you being on here, Carolyn. And I know Ronnie appreciates this as well. Yeah, Ronnie may very well actually watch this comment video, or even maybe listen to it while he's driving down the road. So I do plan on trying to feature all of your comments. This is not every one of the comments, so just keep tuning in here to see whether you're featured and your comment is featured. All right, Beverly Smith, 5463, 17 hours ago, said, hey Joe, Ronnie's stories are so wonderful. Thank you so very much for this video. And I appreciate that, Beverly. And just a reminder, you can still get tickets to the pay-per-view for his Audubon Drive show. They did invite me to come over in person, and I couldn't make it. I've got tapings that day with Michael Peterson, as well as our first subscriber that's going to be coming on the channel. And talking about her love for Elvis, and I want y'all to be part of that too. So send me an email, rareelvisphotos@gmail.com, if you might want to be a subscriber that comes on and does a Zoom with me to tell me all about your love for Elvis and how Elvis affected you. All right, continuing on, Eagle Arrow. I love the username there, Eagle Arrow. Great interview with Ronnie. These are what Elvis Presley fans like. Real musicians that knew EP and their stories. Ronnie is respectful to EP2. Now, unfortunately, Ronnie never did get to meet Elvis, but you know, I think he's been very true to Elvis's memory, and he's been part of the world that is really trying to defend Elvis and trying to lift up the memory of Elvis Presley instead of looking for the sordid, negative stuff that's always out there for everybody. God sure did make Elvis gifted in many ways, you said, and in features. He even aged pretty well. Ronnie's portrait of Elvis is stunning. Remarkable talent. I agree with that very much, Eagle Arrow, and I appreciate you coming on here and sharing what your thoughts were of this video. And, you know, for those of you that maybe missed it earlier, MITTE stands for Made It to the End. You might even put SITTE if it's one of these long videos that's an hour long and you made it to the end, survived it to the end. SITTE, or stayed, well, it'd be stayed until the end, it'd be SUTTE, but made it to the end or survived it till the end. Hey, Donnie Loco, 4909, such an amazing interview. Thank you both so much. Made it to the end. Appreciate you making it to the end and coming on here and commenting, Donnie. I know Ronnie does as well. Well, let's go ahead and listen to one of the songs I wrote in honor of Elvis Presley while we continue watching these comments, reading these comments, and I'll be back to see where we're at that point in time, facing the crowd. Before we play that, let me read a Facing the Crowds here. You're on here all the time, and I appreciate you. It would be awesome to have a chain or something like Sun Records to go in and record with that old sound for a few bucks. It sure would. Here's a song I wrote called Black and White.
Would the world still be painted black and white if that Technicolor voice had never sung? Would Pat Boone still be the hunk of burning love? Would the world have ever heard Ray Charles or James Brown if Elvis Presley's folks hadn't moved to Memphis town? We went from 0 to 100 miles per hour, from just a seed to a field of golden flowers, from horse and buggy to a rocket ship. Elvis did that with a shake of his hips. Some people try to say he stole his sound. Elvis just sang from down within his soul. With just his voice, he broke the great divide between all music that was black and white. B.B. King and Little Richard thanked him. Elvis took the racist world and changed them. We went from 0 to 100 miles per hour, from just a seed to a field of golden flowers, from horse and buggy to a rocket ship. Elvis did that with the shake of his hips. Yeah, hips. This world would look like a different place if we never got to gaze on Elvis' face. We went from 0 to 100 miles per hour, from just a seed to a field of golden flowers, from horse and buggy to a rocket ship. Elvis did that with the shake of his hips. Yes, Elvis did that with the shake of his hips. Yeah, yeah. She held him close to her heart from the very start. Through every joy and fear, she kept him near and dear, with a love that's pure and true. In everything she'd do, a mother's guiding light shone through the Elvis night. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. Holding her hand, he found peace, and all her worries would not cease. There shares a bond that never fades. It loves me tender shades. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. Holding her hand, he found peace, and all her worries would not cease. They shares a bond that never fades. It loves me tender shades. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. With every note he'd sing, he danced on her heartstrings. A melody so sweet made their bond complete. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. Yeah, there's no greater love than a mother's love.
Well, what do you know? Through two songs, and a face in the crowd is back. Appreciate those comments earlier, by the way, as well. A lot of deep thinking there. Mr. Ronnie, I hope you have a journal to document all these historical facts and events. It's what the people know that matters and needs to be preserved so desperately. The human side and how wonderful things were even in the hard times. But people, because people came together and always had faith, hope, and drive. God bless us. And that's the wonderful thing about technology these days is the ability to store all this stuff online. Now, gosh, what would happen if YouTube crashed, of course? So I get what you're talking about, writing something down. Hey, Karen. Hi, Joe. What a cracking interview. I love Ronnie's stories. What a storyteller. Thank you so much for this wonderful interview. The artwork Ronnie produces is amazing. James Burton looks amazing. Elvis does look like he's going to talk in that artwork. Really love this show. Thank you, Joe and Ronnie. That's a great comment. I'm sure Ronnie appreciates that as well. Thanks for coming on, Karen. Well, we all know that Elvis had a very deep spiritual side, so this is the song I wrote called There's Only One King, That's Jesus, said Elvis up on stage.
There's one king above all, a light that never fades, a name that we call in every prayer we say. Through every storm we face, he stands tall and true, lifts us up with his grace, that shows what love can do. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every eye closed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. In the darkest of the nights, when hope seems all but lost, his light it shines so bright because he took up the cross. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. In the darkest of the nights, when hope seems all but lost, his light it shines so bright because he took up the cross. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. He gave his life for us so that we all may live. Only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage.
Great comments there about Elvis's history and the paintings. SCSU 5085, erasing country and pop influences from the Elvis story. Now, you mentioned the Austin Butler movie on Elvis. Here's my very complete review of the movie. It is an entertaining film, and I saw it twice, but it has an agenda. They only show Elvis as a product of R&B. The movie totally throws out all of Elvis's other big musical influences. In reality, Elvis living in Tupelo and Memphis was exposed to every genre of music and soaked it in all like a sponge. Country music was a major influence, as was pop music in the 40s and 50s. That's very true. Elvis has always been credited with mixing country music with blues and rockabilly. And rockabilly was born, is what you're saying. His unique version of rock and roll. Not mentioned in the movie, of course. They show Elvis as a copycat to the blues and not an innovator nor a contributor to it. From Elvis's very first recordings, which were on Sun Records, from 1953 and 1953 and 55 that he recorded, bluegrass, country, and pop ballad songs, in addition to the blues. Get a copy of the complete Sun Sessions and the $1 Million Quartet, and you will see the mix of music. Although most of the younger folks will not be able to identify the titles, and likely they may be put off by the last album in terms of quality. Yeah, you know, I always enjoy that $1 Million Quartet album, but you're right, it jumps all around and the quality's low because they just had a microphone running in a room. They weren't really thinking about recording it, in a sense, professionally, obviously. Would have been great, though. But judge for yourself. All you need to do is to compare Elvis 1950s Sun Studio recordings, the non-live ones, to the older original R&B recordings of the same song by the original artist. You will hear a difference in vocal style and instrumental arrangement Elvis made. We see nothing of the rock pioneers who also contributed country music elements to the music. For example, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, nor the great Bill Haley. Bill had a curious mixture of other genres and blues similar to Elvis. Actually, Bill had the first #1 rock song on the pop chart in 1955. That would be Rock Around the Clock, I believe. Great song. Also part of Happy Days. Music historians have always pointed to 1955 as the beginning of the rock era, even if rock sporadically pre-existed in the past. It was more of an accident than an intention. Got that Rocket 88 song. I believe that was 54, 53. Love that song. It certainly cannot be said that all R&B is identical to rock and roll, particularly after country music was added by those first generation pioneers of the rock era. Anyway, that's why we still have different names for both genres today. I'm tempted to even throw in Chuck Berry to the list because he did have some country influences, which are seldom mentioned. Conclusion. The movie clearly wanted to place Elvis entirely into the R&B world without his other forms of music that motivated him. Unfortunately, newcomers to Elvis will only be left believing this movie told the complete story of Elvis and the formation of rock and roll. That's a very well constructed comment. I appreciate you coming on here. I believe you're a new commenter, so thanks for popping on. Well, we're going to feature some more comments later on today as well, but let's close with this one. Golden Retriever Puppies 958. Love Ronnie and the interview. More, please. There'll be more coming.